You're watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is July 26th meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Present, so I'd like to call the Board of Commissioners regular meeting Wednesday, July 26, 2023, p.m. In session. So, roll call. Holt Ettinger.
Present.
Chris Yagowski.
Present.
Tim Warner.
Present.
And Tim Smith. All members of the commission are present. So I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting from Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Open it up to public comment. Is there public comment? Public comment. Public commenting is closed. So Dan, can you come up and give us a report?
Okay. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Water Reclamation Department did not have any recordable injuries during the month of June. However, as it's noted on the report, that Refuse Department did have one injury. The employee was stepping off the truck and turned an ankle and has since returned to work after being off only 6 days, on light duty for 6 days, and off work. And so the last injury was on 6/12, and so we've gone now 42 days through today without injury, which we hope will continue. Other highlights during the month of June, on the 16th of June, we sent a number of maintenance employees and operations employees for wastewater treatment plant to the Alexander Chemical Chlorine Sulfur Dioxide training course. This is an excellent training course, and also in order to comply with OSHA and EPA RMP requirements, we have to document that they understood the training they received. So that's the quiz that we provide, and that was a 43 question quiz for the training they received over approximately 4 hours. And so I provided a copy of that for your reading pleasure. So you can see the detail that is covered during the training, and I was pleased with the scores. They ranged everywhere from 88 to 100%.
That's right.
So that was acceptable. So that's the report's pretty complete this month and quite a bit of detail. So happy to answer any questions regarding the report. Or
our injury on the 16th, the driver motor was back on the 19th, correct? Is that what I saw in there?
That's correct. 5 days on days away from work, and then 1 day of light duty.
So, Dan, we have 5 incidences. Four incidences.
4 incidences this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate your work, Dan.
Appreciate the work of everyone in the district.
Scott?
Hello.
Good luck to you on that.
South side? Yeah, I know. It was clean. Good. I don't know, what are they, 24 games under 500 now? Start by reading the cash balances. The operating fund had $24,027.12. Municipal account had $827.19. The improvement fund had $1,170,696.47. Vehicle replacement fund had $254,464.04. Equipment replacement fund had $875,754, and the grant fund had no balance. Indian Springs and Whippoorwill both had no balances. We made the payments to the SRF. The SRF debt reserve had $517,077.94, and the SRF bond and interest at $213,228.18, for a total at BNY Mellon of $730,306.12. The stormwater fund at $822,292.24. There was nothing in the municipal refuse account. The refuse account had $1,724,309.25. The special revenue account had $5,664.30. The levy excess fund remained at $8,522.14. The tax levy grant fund had $4,324.78, and the rainy day fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account at Horizon of $2,565,112.71. The total before the Carwick remediation fund was $5,621,187.65. The Carwick remediation fund had $218,688.75 for total cash balances of $5,839,876.40. Just a few comments. The operating fund, we actually had 3 payrolls in the month of June, and they run around $250,000 with our match of FICA and other benefits. And also the other big thing, that number's coming back up on the operating fund this month, so I would expect it to be back to where it was at the end of May, or getting close to it. The other thing that happened in the month of June was we got our spring tax settlement. That's why you see the increase in the stormwater fund and the refuse fund. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty much, you know, the same transfers. I'm holding off a little bit on the transfers just to make sure that the cash balance at the end of July is not positive. I don't want it to go negative by transferring it to the other funds. Even though it doesn't leave that bank account, it would just show negative. So, okay. So, if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. The next thing I have is the performance reports. And everything's, you know, tracking pretty well. The first one's the operating fund, which are, you know, it's funded by the user rates. The thing on page 5, I think it's, so far it's looking like 545,000 short, but I believe we'll get that back. Now, again, with the payrolls, the 3 payrolls. But there's really not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it's tracking pretty much where it's at. The next one is the refuse fund. And again, it's tracking along, and if you look at the revenue, it reflects that generally the property taxes, that was a spring tax settlement on the first line. So, and the rest of it, I'll talk about the budget here in a second, but and it's tracking pretty much right along, and it also includes the new rates for the landfill charges that we negotiated, and they look pretty good. I mean, Mr. Cuss helped a lot on, keeping those down. So, anyways, that looks good. The stormwater fund is really just, what we do is transfer some of the collection department's cost out of the operating fund. And that's pretty much the stormwater fund, because the collections people actually do the stormwater work. So that is basically just transferring money to the operating fund from this fund.
Okay.
And I've got the budgets pretty much done, refuse is pretty much done. I'm still working a little bit on stormwater. I just got something emailed today. We have to present August 21st.
Okay.
And for the refuse and stormwater fund, we may have to go earlier. Yvonne had been talking about maybe meeting earlier than that, but
What's the dates on that?
August 21st. And I'll be emailing you all copies of the budget. I hope to have them by Friday.
That would be great.
Yeah, so you got time to look at it. But they look pretty good, and two things. The first thing is the salary increases. I'm following suit with what the city's doing, and theirs is like at 6%. So I'm following that. So, and also I left refuse, even though we just took possession of this one-arm trucks, I left the staffing at the current levels until we see how these things kind of work out, and then how we reposition people. I don't see us laying anybody off because we got these trucks, but it's going to be a while, and there's still a lot of special pickups we're doing, which use other types of trucks. So I don't really see it impacting the staff levels, but it'll help us get some things done. And that's pretty much all I got, unless anybody has any questions.
Anyone with any questions? No.
Okay. Yep, thank you. If I can get up. Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm going back.
Steve, Mike.
Good luck. Oh, thank you.
Mike, you're up first with the refuse.
Okay. So I think all the commissioners have a copy of information about trash situation. There it is. I have this place. So anyway, as Scott mentioned about the special pickups and just a massive amount of material that's being put out in the street is more than challenging for our department to keep up with. We have been successful in securing assistance from the street department to help us to try to get caught up. But this is the kind of thing, pictures of it that we see throughout the city, and it has caused us to revisit the code and the way we go about picking up the trash and our expenses, and to develop a more equitable approach, and that just cover our expenses, because what it takes for us to get the manpower and the equipment and take it to the landfill and so forth. So we have this worked up, this bulk refuse disposal and collection summary. And while you're looking at that, not that we're going to read it, but I brought the municipal code, this as a point of reference, that somehow we've gotten away from following the guidelines and the stipulations of the code about placing trash out in the open without making arrangements to have it picked up, or even better, to have a dumpster. In the case of like a couple of those that represent quite a bit of material that otherwise we have on occasion used the loader and the dump truck, and it's just not the service that normal or the average tax that a person pays covers. It's just more than we can absorb. Mm-hmm. So in any case, we're working now with the code enforcement and our inspector, and all working hand in hand to better communicate and be more effective and efficient at, first of all, getting people that are putting out an excessive amount of material to make arrangements to get a dumpster, or pay additional charges to us to take it away. And with the breakdown that we came up with as far as calculating equipment and manpower and tipping fees and all things considered, I believe for a full load, we're looking at a cost of $800 some dollars, $841.64. And I know it looks a little complicated, but it's not really complicated. It's just provided for your perusal to indicate how we substantiate the total that we came up with.
It would be a minimum charge for a full truckload pickup of household.
And looking at this, and I know I have, and I believe Steve also checked into just to see what it would cost for someone to get a dumpster, a roll-off box or something. And I think that residents will find that if they do have a lot of material that exceeds the amount that we can pick up, that they'll be better off getting a dumpster. And I think I saw a 6-yard, I don't recall the name of the service, but they service Michigan City. They had a 6-yard roll-off that they would leave on site for a period of time and then pick it up for a total of like $3.99. And then I think there was
A 20-yarder from Able Disposal would be $610.
So it appears also that many of these are also income properties, and have no front to income properties, but for us to have to pick up a massive furniture and carpeting and mattresses and all that. We simply have to cover our costs, and it would be preferred and appreciated if the respective property owners would make arrangements to take care of. We are also working with the building department about permits, how permits are given out, and the stipulation of the contractor committing to type of disposal, to have arrangements made for disposal. But that's outside of our purview. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you don't mind a comment. I think a little bit of ignorance of the rules is probably our downfall, because even when I've tried to call in and call the refuge number, the information is not accurate. And plus, you can only do a mattress, or you can only do a couch, or you can only do one couch, or 4 couches, or there's no definite information that we're putting out to the city to give them the rules to begin with. So they put out the piles. So I would suggest some kind of public presentation, whether it be through the newspaper, through the radio, through some kind of media outlet, to kind of show them what really is acceptable and not acceptable, similar to what the solid waste district does.
And I appreciate that, and we have given that matter consideration and thought. And what we intend to do there is we've communicated with the water department, incorporate a flyer that will cite the code, the different, what is acceptable, what is not, and even working with the city, that the city is working to make things simpler and not so legalese. But basically, like, I thought the one comment, I won't quote the person that said it, but it's in plain language, just to say that it shall be unlawful for any person to place, leave, dump, or permit to accumulate any garbage on any property within Michigan City corporate limits, city limits. That doesn't mean we're encouraging people to do anything else with it, except for the responsible way of disposal.
Someone said it was inflammatory?
Pardon?
Someone said that was inflammatory?
No, but I'm just saying I don't like to quote people unless they, instruct me to do so. But anyway, so we're trying to make it straightforward and want to be fair, and I think the comment I made about some of the income properties, when we are overwhelmed with material from, it doesn't matter what property, but let's say they tend to have more turnover. Maybe someone leaves, breaks the lease or whatever they do, they leave, and then they have all this material left after their departure, so they have to get rid of it. So what ends up happening is we have these growing lists of those type that cause residents who maybe just have a few things to pick up to have to wait in queue for the rest of the material to be picked up, because we can't very well leave it in the street like that. But if you, and I realize I'm sorry I didn't get this to you before to get a chance to kind of digest this a little bit, but again, what we want to be and are committed to doing is just being fair and covering our costs. We're a nonprofit organization. We're not trying to make money, but we are trying to keep the rates down so we don't have to increase rates for anyone. So we stipulate in here what is acceptable, what is not. And again, we will work with the water department to get something out in the flyer, and if necessary, we can even have some type of public awareness, reach out campaign, just to, I think when people understand what we're doing and how we're going about it, that they'll realize that it's in all the interests of Michigan City, all the residents, not to mention the aesthetic of Michigan City as it appears to others that come here to visit. or tourists or so forth.
Any other questions?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gelski at the last meeting, we had discussed mentioning, identifying like the gaps in the knowledge and awareness, just as you said. And you're absolutely correct. That is, and then formulate a plan, which is what the beginning of this, I believe, is. And then, to clear up the gap of awareness and to work towards that. And if it doesn't improve, then evaluate it appropriately and then make additional changes along the way that can, increase the implementation of increasing the awareness, starting with the water department, flyer, updating the website, doing things like that. Obviously, I think you put forth last month, Steve, a press release as well.
Right.
Idea, to stack up a few things. I mean, people come in our community, people go, people grow up not knowing these rules, laws, or what it is. So we need to, I think, maybe even consider a perpetual every other year identification of the gap in awareness or annually something that can be done at minimal cost, of course, to the residents, and that is something that is hopefully going to happen.
Yeah.
There's just one thing that is very important that I didn't mention, and one thing that we incorporated in our approach is what we refer to as Amnesty Day, which would be perhaps on the first pickup of the month. The residents would be given accommodation for bulk items that can be placed within a 4 foot by 8 foot by 4 foot high area. That would be at no cost, but they would need to notify us ahead of time so that we can pick up those articles. But the whole idea is just to keep people from putting material out every day and just putting it out there without us, having any idea of what's going to be out in the street and how much of it.
Some of you might recognize those dimensions as equal to a cord of wood.
Okay. So when you talk about the Amnesty Day, how do you know that, I guess, so you're talking about the first pickup of every month?
That's what
12 times a year.
hypothetically
12
is.
times a year.
Right.
I just think that's a lot.
I do too.
I think, you look at the height of when we have pickups, is it spring, fall, whatever, and we give them an amnesty day, maybe twice a year or something like that. And we start with that first, and if that's not enough, or we feel that, it isn't, then I think, in all the water bills, we put in their education about other pickups like paint, like lead, like, other things, hazardous materials. You got it right on a calendar.
Right.
Put this on that same calendar. And then, I think the other thing is, and I don't know how many people read that calendar, but we can start with that publicity. The second thing is, it's almost like an airport. You educate them what a 4 by 8 by 4 looks like. On maybe a drawing of whatever your insert is in that,
Right.
in the paper. But I think 12 times a year you're going to be running our guys ragged.
Right.
So I think we do twice a year. The other thing is that I mentioned here, the roll-off dumpsters. I think we need to educate them that there are places that have roll-off dumpsters. Not everyone's going to use them, and then put the information in the water bill. Steve, I can help you with some of this stuff. Updating the website is going to be important, but I just think, I think there has to be a responsibility, especially from the people that are remodeling these homes,
Yes.
or contractors doing this, that they need to know that get the stuff out, or have a special pickup with it. I mean, we're trying to eliminate some of this.
Right.
We're just gonna eliminate,
See,
some of all of this. So it's, we can't have our guys spending time doing this when they're supposed to be doing other things in the city.
absolutely. It's,
So, I don't, that would be my suggestion a couple times a year.
Alright, that looks like a year was sufficient to April and October.
well, we have the spring
Spring
cleanup,
cleanup, yeah.
and I think there's a fall cleanup also, so,
And
Is there?
are you considering those as?
Remember that.
okay, never
I
mind.
don't believe there is, but we did talk about doing a seasonal, in your peak seasons like summer and spring, last meeting, I believe.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to if you do spring and fall and you do summer,
In the summer.
we don't want,
Right,
we don't want anything out in the winter when, we may have a snowstorm and some people have to plow, or,
absolutely.
on the sidewalk where people can't get around the sidewalk or anything like that. So I would not do anything in the winter.
right.
I
I assume you're only gonna have it for individual residents and not for contractors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is only for residents, yes.
And very similar, I'm sorry to interrupt, but very similar to what the solid waste district does. They do it every other month through the summer process. So Cable's in Michigan City and or the LaPorte County Fairgrounds, and then they do the paint and tires and thinners and all of that, batteries,
Right.
etc. Why couldn't we come up with the same kind of process? Because we know, everybody knows, they're dumping at our site on Hitchcock, whether we
Right.
like it or not.
Yes, they
They're
are.
throwing over the fence, they're doing whatever they can to get rid of
Dumping at
it.
Cable's too.
But I think, yeah, at Cable's. So we have manpower that's going out there all the time and trying to deal with that on the weekends that I've seen myself.
Right,
So why could we maybe think outside the box? And I'm the smartest guy, but maybe if we had 6 dumpsters or rollbacks on this property somewhere, and give the people the opportunity to bring that couch on Saturday. They have to be a resident, they have their ID, they bring the couch, we throw it in a dumpster.
right.
We don't have to do the work, it's here, they bring it to us, or the refrigerator, or, because people are just ignorant when it comes to it, they don't know what to do with it. They call the number,
True.
and there's a recording that, they still don't get specific information from that recording of,
Right.
well, I got a tire, I got a couch, or can I bring 2?
Right.
So unfortunately, they just don't know, and there's no one to talk about with that.
Chris, we're gonna update that, so we'll take care of that, but I think you have a really good idea, and I don't think that's a bad idea, quite frankly.
Manpower wise, we'd have a few guys that would probably want to work a Saturday just to be here to monitor that and throw in a dumpster too, or whatever.
We
it
gotta
might
be
be.
careful about that, because we've been criticized for overtime. So, I don't wanna have extra guys here, and we're paying them overtime, for that, so.
Well, we're already paying them to take the trucks and go out and pick up the piles on the weekends because they're the special pickups. So I mean, the overtime exists.
Right.
The labor wouldn't be excessive as far as the machines are taking out to pick up the stuff. They're bringing it here instead. So we just got men that are just watching the rollbacks basically.
I would assume that we would have to have additional people on to do that, because the guys with the trucks, they're gonna still be going out there. So we're gonna have more overtime. So,
I don't know if you remember, but we discussed having, other communities and other smaller towns have a community dumpster. Where, between 8 and 12 or 8 and 2 or whatever, you can actually go and drop off a chest of drawers
Yeah.
into a dumpster. And that actually exists. And we discussed that at the last meeting last month, that was another thing that we should consider. And I'm glad Chris brought it up again,
yeah.
because that
But I guess
conversation did go on.
my question is there an area outside our office here where you could just park the dumpsters, and then they could, publicize that they're there, and then they can come and do it? My fear for something like that is that they overflow, and then our guys have to take care of all of that, so.
Oh, it'd have to be monitored. I mean, you just could not, because look at the Market Mall, everything in the world turns out there.
Yeah,
Not recyclables like the dream we all want. So somebody would have to monitor that, but I mean, even if somebody's at the gate just checking them in and, okay, I see a couch, put it in that dumpster, I think you might come up with a system.
yeah. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I just want everyone to know that if there's additional staffing hours on this, that's one reason, because we're already defending staffing hours.
The central maintenance yard might make some sense because
Well,
the county
that could-
e-waste is already there.
Right. Them?
Plus with this one-armed truck you got, you should in theory have at least one guy extra now.
Yeah.
So that person could be not always the same person maybe, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good point.
Better use
One-arm
for
trucks
that.
only hold 2 guys. You can't put 3 guys on one like we do with the rear loaders.
No, but what Jim's saying is that we'll have an extra guy, possibly. I know you're still trying to figure that out, but potentially we could have it. But I think the suggestion of putting it down at the
Kentucky,
Kentucky Ave, that's not a bad, rather than having it here.
These community dumpsters they're not manned.
No, I know,
Ones that I
but then you gotta be, I have some clients who have tried that. And every contractor, small contractor in the world
They dump
comes out on
everything.
Saturday,
Yeah.
and I don't care if you put 10 out there,
Yeah, they're full.
they'll bring 12 worth. And then as one of you pointed out, then your staff, because it violates, among other things, your MS4 permit to have trash on the ground on your property.
Yeah.
So then you have to pay somebody to pick it up. So I think, I think it's well worth your while to have somebody there checking to make sure it gets in the.
An ID, I mean, you gotta just show an ID, doesn't
Yeah,
cost
right,
anything, at
exactly.
least an ID to show you're a city resident, and you're good to go, not a contractor.
Because we have that issue with those apartment complexes. And Waste Management charges us when people don't put it in the dumpsters. And we have 5 sites right now that we're getting hit with because they're not putting it in the dumpsters and the guys gotta get out of the truck and get charged. It's gonna be similar. So, we want someone.
Yeah, I think, well, let's evaluate that. I mean, I think it's a good suggestion. And, can we incorporate that into the overall plan?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to Cranston. Make sure he's okay with taking up that much space in his yard.
Well, if we can't, maybe we'll find something over here or something. I mean,
It's a pretty large fenced-in yard.
We're a little short of space here.
yeah,
We got no room on this side. I think it would be a bad idea of people going in and out of the
Yeah.
maintenance yard
yeah.
at Seneca.
Well, why don't you check and see if they would be willing to do it there, and then maybe we'll figure out something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And just so the board's aware, there is a draft ordinance that's gonna be presented to the city council, I assume at its next meeting. It was actually generated by the building department, and Amber drafted a draft, I reviewed it, and it is in regards to these contractors and others, setting out trash on the street. One of the things it does is creates a couple of new sections in the ordinance code, and I'm not gonna go through detail, but if you come to pull any building permit, part of that application is going to require you to tell them how your plan for disposal of any kind of debris. And if they approve it, and they're gonna review the plan, and they'll probably be having to review it, but somebody's gonna review it, if it's approved, it becomes part of the permit. And if they don't follow the plan, they violate, A, they'll get their permit yanked, and B, there's up to $2,500 fine for violating the ordinance.
Okay.
There are other provisions, including the ability of the sanitary district to be compensated, reimbursed for its expenses in doing the special pickups, and for the sanitary district to basically establish, the rates. Now the board would have to approve them, at least the scheme of them, not the individual bills. But anyway, can't swear it's going to get passed, but that's going through the process, which should help. I don't know how many of these special pickup items, or situations are created by contractors or just residents.
Right.
If they're contractors, this ordinance will help a lot to address it. Because, they're, in theory, anyway, supposed to pull permits for any kind of.
One of those pictures was a contractor working
Yeah.
on a
Whereas on individual residents, they don't go get a permit to clean out their garage. So they wouldn't be affected. The ordinance says that you can't, as Mike mentioned earlier, thou shalt not just put allow any waste or trash or, garbage to accumulate. But We have that now.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what we are going to vigorously apply the code, so everyone is aware that these are directives that are already on the code. They're not anything we're doing here today, we're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Mike, any update on the filter building project?
Yes, on the filter building project, originally they were going to return last week to continue their work and complete the work. However, because of the digester painting and some of the special accommodations and monitoring that we're doing there, I was concerned about complicating our situation and possibly, compromising our treatment. I asked them if they could postpone that, and actually worked out okay for them, so I believe they will be here like in either late August or early September to finish up. But the system is operable now. And the part of the work that they have to do is not affecting our ability to operate the process.
That's great. John, I understand things are still pretty quiet on the 421 sewer.
That's no update on the River Northwest 411 sewer project, no update.
Your next item is this self-monitoring report for the splash pad. I put this in here simply so you guys can see how much water they're going through, 10,000 a day, gallons a day. And so far, we're hitting the marks on our water treatment requirements in the permit. We're knocking down the chlorine reliably. On the 6-acre donation parcel, the owners which are amenable to just donating the triangle to the south that's not substantially contaminated. Expect I'll work with Attorney Meyer to try to get that ready to happen.
Okay.
Well, next item is the Creekness Stakes at
So
Hanson
Steve,
Park.
can we go back for a second?
Yes, sir.
Is that triangle 6 acres?
No,
What is it?
it's the bulk of the site. I would say it looks to me about 4.
Okay.
The contaminated triangle is about 2.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I like that piece of land just because it's right next to a stream alarm ditch that we have control of already.
Okay.
Creekness Stakes, September 24th this year at Hanson Park. I'd like the board's permission to have a boat again this year. It's $1,000 like it's been 10 years past. I will not be the captain. I will be in the boat paddling.
Do we need a motion for that?
There's no crew.
No.
And I will add, last year we came in second place.
I was in this before.
I'd make a motion to sponsor $1,000.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. So
We might
go
have
to
won
Boundary
last
Waters again.
We
Yeah.
might have won last year, but I wasn't the only one that was misinterpreting the
Staggered start.
yes. It was on time, not on where the position of the canoes.
On the lab structure update, I've been having trouble getting contractors interested to make the inspection openings. Tim Crow at West Janey is going to reach out to some of his contractors. I'm going to just have to continue to try to find a contractor that's going to be willing to make the inspection openings so that Lewis can do the inspections. The latest on the Michigan Boulevard and Carroll Avenue sewer extension, Weaver Consultants drilled the borings. And if you look at this sheet, these red numbers, That's how many feet of fill material. It looks to be mostly bricks and rubble that we'll use to fill in the chain you run. So we put the string in the pipe. That'll be a factor. More to come on that probably next month in terms of what that's going to mean for us.
Means extra undercut in some of the spots to support the plate.
Yeah.
All right, this is the next item is digester cleaning. This is the first item in the supplemental pack, or second item. Merrill Brothers has been really good to work with, by the way. Most people don't mess around. They put as many as 12 trucks on that job one day. And
Massive effort.
yeah, right. A couple points of fact. Friday before July 25th, the number 2 digester was cleaned out. You can see before and after pictures on this.
That's really good.
Right there.
Yeah, we probably had 10 or 15% of the digester's volume taken up by sand. And then the last page is a budget spreadsheet that
Pile of sand that's in there and clean out of it.
So would you say, Steve, clear indication that the digesters needed cleaning?
I would say so.
This piece is basically back here, what's in this one? That's, yeah, never clean the bottom out. So it's all the same, it's up there to the bottom.
Last page on this item is where we are in the budget. After cleaning out number 2, that's going to cost us $146,682.65. Money that remains in the contract is $153,849.61. Well, at the present time, it looks like we're a little bit under budget. Next item is the Lincoln Avenue sewer replacement. Austin Associates edited the standard contract for the construction projects on bid jobs. There's a copy of that in here. Woodruff has signed it. It's subject to Attorney Meyer's review. Attorney Meyer, did you review this yet?
Yes.
Yes.
And the final version of this came through this
That's
afternoon,
right.
or this morning from, signed by Woodward.
Yes.
But I didn't, so it should be ready to be signed. You know, I didn't know if you looked through that email, the attachment about all of the different, there's like 10 different little forms that have to be attached. I didn't review that, but if it's not, it's not attached to it. This is just the contract, this is not all the exhibits.
Right.
So there's a bunch of exhibits that go with this.
So when do they start?
Well, we have to give them a notice to proceed first, and we can't do that until we approve this contract. I'd like to not, if we can avoid waiting another month to get this authorized, I think we need to.
No reason not to, if you're gonna go ahead with the project.
Can we use the improvement fund?
Yeah.
So I'm recommending to the board that, subject to Attorney Meyer's review, give Mr. Milotovic the authority to sign this contract on behalf of the district.
All right, so I'm gonna look for a motion, please, on the Lincoln Avenue sewer replacement project to be constructed by Woodruff after Attorney Meyer looks at all the documentation and says that it's good to go. Can I get a motion?
And staffing, I'll make that motion.
Second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks.
Next, I actually have one more item on that topic. That'll be the next item in your supplemental pile. Attorney Meyer's recommendation, I solicited a proposal from Haas to inspect, administer, and certify the construction on this project. And there's a copy of Haas's recent proposal dated July 25th. The estimated fee in here is $74,300. Plus an estimated $5,000 for testing of construction materials by the engineer's subconsultant.
Any discussion on this at all? Questions for Steve? Seeing
Are
none.
you recommending approval?
Oh,
Yes.
I figured he was.
Well, it should be in the record.
So can I get a motion?
I have a question first.
Okay.
In the contract for Woodruff, there's an item 2, construction engineering. Was that to cover what actually was in this proposal from Haas?
It should not be.
What is construction engineering from a contractor?
Usually, I would consider that staking and layout.
Ah, okay. That's where the construction is out. All right,
They
thanks.
usually have somebody out there checking the slope and, you know,
Done that many times. Just I call it layout. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions on the Haas and Associates proposal for construction services? If not, I'll ask for a motion for the Haas proposal for construction services on the Lincoln Avenue sewer replacement. It's not to exceed $74,300, and also an estimate amount of $5,000 for testing and construction materials by engineer sub-consultant. Can I get a motion?
I will move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
The next item I have before you that I'm going to make a recommendation on is the certificate of substantial completion. It was actually prepared in November of 2020. I had recommended to Mike Cuss at the time that this be accepted, and he hesitated to do so because he thought some of the vegetative coverage was too sparse. I can tell you that Weaver Consultants is doing the inspecting on us for the habitat restoration, and the second quarter this year they reported 99% coverage, better than 99%. And I would also like to add that we've got some really nice native species coming up here. I'm going to read off a few of these: ox-eye daisy, grayhead coneflower, blue vervain, boneset cup plant, wild bergamot, American germander, figwort, black mustard. Those are the leafy plants. The grasses we've got savory tickfoil, showy tick trefoil is another leafy plant. But we've got in the grass department we got foxtail barley, Canadian wild rye, big blue stem, and switchgrass. Those things make up the majority of what's growing on the banks. It looks cool now, and it's really going to look cool in another couple weeks.
come and visit.
Quite a diverse listing of species out there. That's great.
Yeah, I have an app on my phone too.
That's what that is, okay.
Yeah.
I hear the arborist job is open.
Yeah, how do you do identifying trees? Low shrub stuff. You got spare time.
This app will do some trees. Trees are hard because they're so tall and I'm so short.
Okay, so,
I recommend that we accept this certificate of substantial completion.
can I get a motion to accept the certificate of substantial completion for the Carwick Nature Park, please?
Before you, just so it's in record, when we did this project and got the permit from IDEM, there were a couple of years that we had to monitor to make sure, I'm assuming that time has expired.
It's 5 years, isn't it?
Because the contractor was going, part of the contractor's contract was, I believe, to maintain, if there was any issues, to address those issues.
36 months it is.
There's a 36-month warranty on vegetation.
Okay, but what I
It's a
mean,
warranty, but yeah, you need to make sure that all the vegetation is growing within 5 years, I think, is what most contracts are like that.
Right.
yeah, I haven't, didn't know this, I'm gonna be honest, so we checked, we wanna make sure that Woodruff entered into a contract with the district to do certain things. Obviously, 99% probably they've done. Have they complied with the part that says that, whatever it is, the carry on, required to correct any deficiencies?
Well, I agree. And what I was gonna do is do a little bit more work.
But substantial completion, if there's gonna be anything, it's gonna be relatively minor relative to the cost of the scope of the project.
Right.
There's also a final,
That one I'm not gonna recommend quite yet.
Right.
okay, so,
Yeah, I have no issue with substantial completion at this point.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I would like to come back with a report or taking a look at what could possibly be left to go wrong. And maybe you're reducing the retainage amount by some amount.
Okay.
The Birchwood Trail sewer connection, I was just simply gonna point out that will discharge through the easterly route and come through the Krieger lift station. So that should be in good shape for us. Next item is the 2023 E. coli beach monitoring results. This is most of the data tabulated so far this year. The numbers that exceed 235 are highlighted in yellow. If you count, we got 4 instances at Washington Park 1, 2 instances at Washington Park 3, 3 instances at Washington Park 5, and we have 2 extremely high numbers in the thousands at the Long Beach stops that we're monitoring.
So it looks like the Long Beach 31 on 529, that was Memorial Day. Somebody's having a big party at their house and their septic system was not working very well. I see it in this.
yeah.
Might be onto something there.
And on the Long Beach 24 on 629, that was the beginning of the 4th of July weekend. The 1,900, again, that would lead me to believe that there's one so high that their septic field at this location is not
They
located.
might be spilling over. I mean, that's about the only way to get numbers that high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty much for testing right in the septic tank that high.
I just, thoughts, comments from other commissioners on this E. coli testing?
Yeah, one thing I was wondering, Steve, was on 611 for Washington Park 1, 2, or 1, 3, and 5. Those 3 readings are pretty high. What do you think is going on there?
There wasn't much antecedent rainfall. Could have been the weather conditions. I know that our plant discharge was good because we tested every day.
Yes, in fact, if I may comment on the plant effluent quality.
There's a lot of variables involved here. I mean, Long Beach 1 especially is, we've got the most direct influence from the creek.
You mean Washington Park?
Yeah, Washington Park.
Washington Park 1. That's, it's almost by the break wall. And that longshore current actually oscillates back and forth depending on the weather fronts that pass through. Well, in one part of the passage it's going west and the other part of the passage is going east. I don't have anything to correlate it with, Tim.
Yeah, it just seemed out of character for that. You know, and then 627, the same thing. Those numbers were kind of high. Out of those 3 in a row.
It's a pattern that has occurred before. Yeah, occasionally.
The E. coli, our effluent was 6.3.
On the 11th.
On the level.
Okay.
And it's generally always in the single digits.
So is this where you're taking this in Washington Park? Is that kind of in front of the beach areas there?
It's right in front of the beach.
Yeah.
And so is it just the current, maybe? That day taken? I mean, I'm just asking
Time
because
of day and everything. Yeah.
time of day and everything else.
I hit a bunch of different data, observation data here, so this table would be manageable for you all.
Yeah.
And I looked through that, and I didn't see a good correlation or causal relationship.
Could be gulls or an occasional diaper left on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how far out from shore do you take the sample?
It's right at the shore face, okay? Like where a toddler would toddle around.
Okay, so it's real close. So if there was anything, either animal, human, left fecal material
Right.
nearby, it could easily get into the water's edge,
Yeah, I mean,
Seems plausible.
so I really,
Studies have shown a cubic centimeter of Canadian goose species has over 1 billion E. coli in it. So it doesn't,
I don't think there was any Canadian
on the
geese
beach.
flying over Long Beach.
No.
So, I mean, those are some of the more concerning numbers for me because of our city council and Long Beach, in their infinite wisdom, decided not to let us put the sewer system down there. So it's, I think that those numbers unfortunately reflect septic tanks
Oh, yeah.
that we tried to correct by
Potential.
what we were trying to do. And when we had those public hearings and folks stood up and took EPA samples and said that those were the most latest and greatest, we can tell them that unfortunately that the samples we took in front of Long Beach are much higher. So, Steve, I appreciate this and I want to keep going on this just to keep monitoring what's going on over there.
Absolutely.
Thank
Go
you.
through Labor Day.
Thank you. All right.
The next item was his priority projects. I just wanted to let you know that John's drafted some RFQs for you guys authorized us to send out at the last meeting. I haven't finalized them yet. Thank you for those drafts, John. sanitary sewer lateral repair projects in the public right of way. Jim, I was just gonna ask you if you had any updates on that ordinance, if that got passed, if you knew it got passed or not.
Which one?
The one that Florida City's gonna set aside a quantity of money to pay the customers.
It has not been adopted yet,
Okay.
that I'm aware of. I don't know what happened.
A work in
I don't even know when
progress.
the next council meeting is, but it keeps getting deferred, that I'm aware of, along with the sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk
Ordinance, yeah.
Okay, this thing really didn't belong in your packet. It was inadvertent. You guys approved that last time. And it was the surplusing those garbage trucks. Okay, for equipment replacement wheel loader, we got an update on that. And the next item on your supplemental is the purchase order that we sent to McCann. They've got the load right scale installed, and apparently there's one small piece of switchgear in the cab that still needs to be replaced before they're gonna complete delivery. So I think that's good news for us. You have there was a copy of the quarterly industrial pre-treatment report that shows all of the permittees or compliance during the second quarter. It's has to be sent to the state every quarter. We got a blue swag report for June in here. They've updated some of the priorities on this thing. If anybody's got any questions, I'll attempt to answer them.
Got a question on the MS4 update on page 6, item 2, 11th Street Central.
Yes, sir.
I just found a note in there kind of interesting. The developers are considering green infrastructure but not a green roof anymore, and contractors will not provide a stormwater management plan. Do you know why that is? I thought a stormwater management plan had to be provided with everything.
I don't know why that's in there,
Yeah, I'm only on my.
but they do have to provide a stormwater management plan
That's what I
because of
thought.
the fact that the property is owned, a substantial part of it is owned by the city,
Right.
and the city's involved in the project. The IDEM is handling and will continue to handle the stormwater management, which will eventually be a permit for that.
Okay, so
And they're
that's,
going through that process.
that's not being submitted to the city, it's being submitted to IDEM.
Right, well,
Okay.
we should be copied, but IDEM has to make the decision because we'd have a conflict of interest because we're the city
We want it, yeah.
for our own project.
Okay, thank you. Sure. That didn't make sense to me.
No, they don't have a choice.
Okay. That was all I saw on that.
Okay, the next item was the Streetle Pine White Ditch vegetative maintenance. I was intended to have an email update from the ecological contractor on that, but I can tell you that they're gonna be coming to the city to take care of those two projects on Friday, July 27th.
What will that entail on the street, for example, Triple Pine?
Streetle includes touch up on cattails and arborvitae.
Because all the overgrown is on some passes, but.
Herbicide touch up. Knock out the invasives that are trying to come back. That's primarily what that is.
Did you get more?
I think so.
Yes.
Well,
The state gave more.
Oh, you talked about that.
Next, you've got the staff reports. I think you can see everybody's been rather on the busy side.
The grade is ours. Thank you.
Plant's working good.
Yeah.
I'd like to call your attention to page 3 on my report, if I may, though. In June alone, we wrote offer letters to 5 different people for the refuse department. We're getting killed with turnover there.
Hence the overtime.
Yeah.
That was worth noting.
And have they accepted?
One of these did not. Actually, 2 of them did not. The first one and the last one, no. The 3 in the middle, yes. Actually, the first one and the last one just ghosted us after they signed their offer letters.
Oh, nice.
And why do you think that is?
I
Does they get better offers from other municipalities?
I would hesitate to speculate.
Okay.
They
Are we competitive on our offers?
have we done a wage survey with?
Not for a while. Probably should.
I mean, I can find out from Valpo. I know City of LaPorte contracts with Waste Management. Chesterton contracts with the Republic. I don't know what they're going to give us that data.
But we have other communities like Portage that does their own.
Portage would be, I would consider it top.
Baker Tilly does an annual survey
Baker Tilly.
that's available to any municipality, and including, for sure, Michigan City, since they provide consulting services to the city of Michigan City, in particular the redevelopment commission. So if you contact them, they would give you the results of a survey, a multi-page document.
We did a pretty comprehensive one back in November to
To the extent that these guys are truck drivers, I assume. I don't know if they have CDL, but the private trucking industry now is paying $70,000, $80,000 a year.
The first guy and the last guy both had CDLs. And the 3 middle guys, we hired them as in training, giving them 18 months to secure their CDLs.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
So
it's hard to compete against
That correlates.
and that's paying $80,000.
And it's rising.
And it's right. And if they get the overtime, it's 6 figures quicker.
That's more correlation than I have on the E. coli at Washington Park.
Yeah. For now.
For now.
For now. We seek data.
I had 2 quick items I was going to raise on new business, if I might.
Okay. Are we,
Unless anybody's got questions on staff reports or any other thing.
yeah, anything on staff reports? If not, then sure.
Okay, next item in your supplemental pile was just a copy of our registration for the Dry Clean Indiana Annual Conference at the Blue Chip. Most of us operators are going to be at IWEA that day, so we're not going to be available. So Josh Barnett consented to display in one of our new sidearm CNG sidearm loaders there.
Okay.
And you'll notice that we didn't have to pay for registration. They gave us a discount code because we're bringing a show and tell item.
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent.
And
That's nice.
That's nice.
yeah, the last item here is David Sneed has been asking me about this for some time to get an off-road fuel tank over in the Seneca yard so that our backhoes, our front-end loaders and tractors don't have to go to Central. And in the process, I learned that Cranston doesn't have any off-road diesel there, right? by getting off-road for our off-road vehicles here, we're gonna be saving 83 cents a gallon over what Cranston's charging us for on-road that we're using off-road.
It's a big savings.
Yeah,
I think it is. I don't know if we need approval to proceed on this or anything, but,
What's the proposition? I mean, where are we gonna receive this fuel?
the tank will be in the Seneca yard,
Okay,
under lock and key.
okay, my concern is more the requirement, you're gonna have to have a spill prevention and control plan.
Actually, it's 300 gallons, so I don't think that's the case.
Oh, it's below, I
It's
thought,
a double wall tank.
It's double wall and it's only 300 gallons.
okay, but you're still gonna be pumping it. And if somebody leaks it out on the ground.
Well, you have a secondary
But if
containment
you said
center
it-
there.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah, there's a absorbent mat that we can buy,
Yeah,
like
Right,
we use in the rail
just-
yard.
just make sure you, in advance,
yeah.
address all of the regulatory requirements, because it can get very expensive if you don't.
Mr. McCoy and I talked about this, and as long as we're 25 feet away from a building,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. McCoy is gonna be all clear on regulatory.
Okay. Well, just so we prevent any fuel from ever getting on the ground.
Yeah, we just, you've got military grade, secondary containment. We use them all the time with our trucks, and the truck drives right on, you hold them up and you can fill up, so you're good to go.
Yeah.
So,
I'm all for it.
so,
But Barbara's gonna have to do a little report in his monthly or annual report to IDEM about the fact that now we have, part of our good housekeeping is properly operating our fuel above ground storage tank.
so you put that in your plan, right?
Yeah.
So do you need us to approve this, or what are you looking
Move
for?
ahead with it.
It's a $250 one-time fee,
Yeah, I think do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
all the action is do it.
they'll keep it full.
so can I get an approval of the,
So moved. Before, are we gonna own the tank, or are we leasing it? Okay.
We're borrowing it, or they're loaning it to us.
Right,
That's
right.
even better.
Well, give
That
it-
is even better.
Yep.
Second.
pretty cheap, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Probably the fastest one you've got out of this, Steve.
Well, that's all I had, unless anybody has questions.
Nope. Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
thank you very much. All right, Jim, anything from you?
No, nothing.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just,
Yes.
President, just to mention that as far as the water quality, at 98.6% removal efficiency of organic matter, biochemical oxygen demand, rounded up to 100% versus not 100%, but suspended solids is 99.5. And 99.8 of ammonia and 86% robustness. So we're not contributing to the E. coli or any other pollution in the region.
That's great.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any old business?
Oh, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Can I get an approval allowance for revenue and tax claims for payment?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? All right, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Second. We stand adjourned, and our next regular meeting is August 23rd, 2023. Thank you,
Good night,
guys.
everybody.